What is happening, guys? Steve Maeda here, and we just got done with our Rebuild Challenge call. It's Monday, the 29th of June, 2020. And what I want to talk about here is how men, women, whatever, but I run men's groups, but this works for everybody, is how we take ourselves out of our own growth. And one of those ways that we take ourselves out of our own growth is we don't unify on anything. And I bring this up because we just had a call that was tremendous, man. And when you can build community of men's excellence, it is awesome. We had a call with a guy who had some issues that revolved around anger or the personal struggle around that. No shame in that. Another guy starting his business, right? And wanting direction in that. Another guy who is, getting social in different ways while organizing his life. And another guy that just wants to get more involved in community, well, learning languages and travel and so on. All these different things, right? Coming together, there's actually more, into one common goal of how do we gain excellence as men? How do we gain excellence as people? And the way we take ourselves out of that is we get so myopic and specific about our problems, going like, oh man, well, I'm an entrepreneur and I do this and that and everything, and I can't listen to that person. Distill this all down to some principles that work for us so that we can be great. Because don't cut yourself out of excellence. It's there. It's there. It's there in so many ways, not just the way that I deliver it, not just the way that my communities do it, but it's there for you to do. And I see so many guys sitting on the sidelines with this, and it's not good. All right, let's get to this. Okay, so good stuff. One of the things that was upsetting about this call is I didn't get to talk so much about my goals and the things going on in my life. And it's busy. Man, today is just crazy. I got to meet up with somebody about some website stuff and do some martial arts stuff with my kids. And then I got a dinner with somebody. Got another call, the dark side call. That's a good one. And oh man, it's just crazy. God, and then another meeting. I'm going to be going till like 1 a.m. easy, nonstop. So when we get into the evolution of ourselves, we tie ourselves up with specifics. So we had one guy who's starting a business, right? And he's making a tough decision or he has a business, but to grow his business, he's making a decision on what different methods and models that he could do that. And it can be confusing and daunting. And then we have another guy who has some anger issues. And we have another guy who has some internal issues that lead towards sex and frustration and so on. Where do all these guys sync up? And see, this is part of the whole thing of where we gain balance in our lives. This is so huge for us, especially with everything that I teach and within the Rebuild Challenge, which is the best place for anybody to start with all of this, is that when we look at our mind, when we look at our body, when we look at our social expression, when we look at our sex in terms of our masculinity, when we look at our purpose, and we bring some balance to those, we get to a spot of where we can start to see abundance, where we can start to see clearly, where we can stop reacting to these social feelings of scarcity, of maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I have to work all these extra hours and so on. And these are the realities of life. But we want to bring balance with what I call our born to be qualities, meaning the qualities that are always going to give us fulfillment and can always give us a certain level of fulfillment in almost any socioeconomic setting. Now, if we're in extreme poverty, that's, we have to get out of that, right? Or if we're under extreme stress, we have to get out of that. And the balancing of these things is always where to start, right? So if you're in some extreme point of scarcity, man, let's balance our mind. We can do that. We can do that as a poor person or as somebody who just got our world rocked in some way, divorce, maybe you lost your job, layoff, there's a lot of these changes happening. There's also we could always work on our bodies. We could always work on our diets, right? We can always work on different ways of fitness and so on. We can always work on how social we are and connecting with people, even in COVID times and so on. We could do that, right? We could work on our masculinity. We could work on our purpose. And it's very easy to do. But when we do that, we can get to a spot where it's like, man, I can get stable. And then who am I and where I want to go to in terms of excellence? So no matter where you're at a guy, like let's say you're sorting out certain anger issues and you need to dive deep, because that's part of our exercises that we're doing with them, is to dive deep into what's the source of those angers, how are they reacting, how are they making me feel, what story are they telling me, and what principles can I replace some of those, defects, so to speak, with. But how can I dive into that? That's hard. That's hard as a man to be able to look at those things. It's so important for us to get stable. We have to get grounded. We have to have a mind we can go back to, a body that we can go back to and feel good about. We have to have an ability to be social and connect with other peoples, whether it's a support system or, random people that we're talking to. We have to feel good about our masculinity, and we have to be in touch with our purpose, and we can. See, the problem is we try and go into change so much about our lives without that, right? That we think that it's just our will. We think it's just our toughness. We think it's just our push. And man, it is not that. We need to go beyond it, right? We need to take things to a different story and a different level of how we can evolve in all of those ways. Your story of excellence starts with your foundation, and you can do those things now. I mean, that's something that we work so much in the rebuild, and there's a structure to it, but just think about it yourself. How can I spend 15 minutes with my mind today to bring it to peace? Sure, I might get angry, I might get upset, I might have all these other issues with it, but how can I bring it back to peace for a moment? We might think, how can I get my body back to something that feels good? Like, how can I switch my diet? How can I eat less? How can I eat more of what's good? How can I do some body movement? How can I do some weights or whatever? But how can I get in touch with my body? And you can spend the time doing that. How can I get social? It's like, oh, I can't talk to anybody. Let's say you go through a drive-through or a drive-through teller at a bank. You can have a conversation there. You go through a grocery store, but how can I get that human-to-human interaction and what I'm going for? My sex as a man, who am I? In terms of my masculinity, and what does that mean? What actions can I tie to it? There's so much of these things that are readily available to us all the time. And if you want to get started, one of the best things to do is, we've all heard about a gratitude list. One of the things that we do in the Rebuild Challenge quite a bit is we make a purpose list, a why list, and we either do that in the morning or at night or both, just to get in touch with a lot of the why of why we're doing these things. Guys, build your foundation. Because if you build foundation, or if you build excellence and you build ambition off of something that doesn't have a foundation, and there's cracks in those bedrocks of masculinity or humanity that I just listed off, of mind, body, socializing, your sexual identity, as well as your purpose, then you're going to falter, man. It's going to crack. There's a lot of ways that could slip. A lot of our shadows, a lot of our dark side hides within those areas. And man, we want to be great. So, hope you liked the video. Hope you enjoyed it. What I would enjoy most, if you come by Austin Men's Development or come by our communities or get in the Rebuild, which is $20 for the month or $10 for 14 days, where you can get on the calls with me. That's what I want. I want to work with you on guys who want to work, right? We do a good job here. Done it for 15 years. I want it as easy as possible for guys who do want to make change in their lives to get it, because man, we love it. We love it. We love it. So big welcome to you. Come on by and have a good week.